When people ask me my story, I always think it's really funny because to me, my story doesn't mean much at all. My story is like one of many with brokenness and redemption and love. But my story starts with my family. My family is Christian through and through. From my sister to my mom and dad, these people are a different breed. Some of the most holy people I've ever met. They live their lives because they love God, they love people, and they're the hands and feet of Jesus, simple as that. But then there's me. Growing up in a Christian home, I was expected to be Christian. It was only proper. And growing up, I honestly was. I went to youth group. I went to church camp. I even tithed. Like, what 16-year-old tithes? I did. All because that's what I was supposed to be. In high school, I played sports. I had a girlfriend. I had to kill a reputation of being the Christian guy that could hang out with anyone. So everything was good except one thing. The Christianity that I claimed was not my own. And this became very prevalent when I went to college for the first time. I followed my girlfriend and my friends to a big university just 30 minutes away. And it was there that I started seeing this Christian religion as more of a limitation than a lifestyle. Because of Christianity, I couldn't drink. Because of Christianity, I couldn't be with girls. And because of Christianity, I couldn't live the way my friends do. So at that point, it was the only logical sense to ditch the religion. And that's what I did. And in that moment, I felt free. It wasn't until 3 years and 3 majors later that I had traveled down a path of darkness that I had no idea was possible. I was flirting with an addiction to alcohol. My relationships and the way I saw people, especially women, was through an incredibly selfish lens. And that Christian family that had been my rock forever, my relationship with them was completely broken. It was then that this darkness had turned this freedom that I was so proud of into the very bars that had essentially held me down and trapped me. After coming to this realization that I was trapped, my family dragged me to a movie in a small church in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma. And the movie happened to be the Ragamuffin movie, which was the story of Rich Mullins. It was a story of a man who had everything, yet was incredibly broken and beaten. More importantly, it was a story of a God who never for one moment stopped chasing after his child. I was that child. I had seen myself through this movie, and I had seen that God had never stopped chasing me, and it was about time that I stopped running. At that point, I knew it was time for a change. So, in talking to my parents, my dad, having gone to Ozark, suggested, you should check out Ozark. So I did, and I went on a campus tour, and I absolutely loved it. So after a long rest of the semester and into summer, I finally came to attend Ozark, and I have not looked back. I've experienced God more in the past year than I did in the previous 21. Coming to Ozark actually gave me an opportunity to serve in West Africa this past summer. And it was there that I actually experienced the freedom in Christ like never before. Rich Mullins says this. He said, I think God's always saying, it's not about how you're doing, but it's more about who you are. Even the scriptures themselves say, don't get too hung up on your weaknesses, on your failures or your addictions, because that stuff cannot separate you from God because he loves you. So I don't know where God has me next, and I don't know the next step in the plan. But I do know that coming from a life caged in by the bondage of this world and moving into a life full of freedom from Christ is a good enough story for me. Ultimately, I'm learning that I'm a ragamuffin sitting at the doorstep of the kingdom. I'm just one, but my life makes a difference.